I got a text that just said, "You're not going to believe this. They found her." And I said, "Found who?" So I was shocked.
He's actually a pretty lucky dog because a lot of animals would have died from a wound like that.
One of the things that they do is they go around to the kill shelters. They rescue the dog so they can rescue the veteran. So it's saving 2 lives in one. And she saved my life, and I think I've done the same for her.
Here at Stitch, we celebrate the ways people and pets are making this country a kinder place to live, one incredible story at a time. Whether they're providing emotional support or teaching us the power of hope and resilience, dogs are so much more than just man's best friend. Here are stories of incredible dogs and the people whose lives they changed for the better. An Air Force sergeant had a heartwarming reunion with his best furry friend when he returned home from Kuwait.
Hey, no! Hey! It's me!
He's been just a wonderful dog.
It was a reunion 7 months in the making when Hector, a master sergeant in the Air Force, finally returned home to Kano.
My son, he's gonna be 7 years old in March, and I've had him since he was a pup, and I didn't have anyone that can take care of him, so it was hard. It was tough leaving him behind.
Hector loves his 6-year-old dog so much, he had him tattooed on his arm. To make sure his dog was taken care of while he was in Kuwait, Hector turned to a program called Dogs of Deployment.
This is the second time I've used them. Words cannot describe how thankful I am. They've been wonderful to me. Constantly, they will stay in contact with me, so that made me feel great.
Through the program, volunteer families foster dogs whose owners are overseas. Before he left, Hector entrusted Kano to this couple.
Honestly, I just want to say I'm so grateful for people like Joanna and David.
Kano learned some new tricks while Hector was away too, like closing doors and learning Spanish commands.
I'm just so glad to see them back together again. It's just great.
This is the story that the community needs. This is nothing but goodness right now.
Finally, Hector was able to come face to face with Kano for the first time in months.
I didn't know how he was going to react, to be honest with you. I got teary. I got really teary, and he knows. And I don't know. It was just, you can't explain it.
For David, fostering Kano was also a lesson in what service can look like.
Level of service is not just for veterans. I think we all as a community support their service, and that becomes our service.
Next, a woman never gave up hope that her missing dog would return home. 3 years later, he miraculously did.
These are definitely my favorite breed. I have my life put in him. My heart, my soul.
Candace's beloved pit bull, Dynamite, was returned to her 3 years after he was stolen.
And there was literally nothing that's gonna hold me back from finding him. He's my best friend.
An officer found Dynamite nearly 20 miles away from home and contacted animal control. They thought he was forced to be a fighting dog because of all the superficial injuries on his body.
He's a rare case because typically animals in those situations don't bounce back from that behavior.
But even after Dynamite was rescued, it would be a couple more months before he found his way home. Officer Deanne mentioned the dog to a woman at a local humane shelter 2 months later. By complete chance, that woman recognized him.
My friend's dog's that's been missing. Could you send me a picture? And I sent her a picture, and Miss Candace came up here later on that evening, and it was her dog.
You can look into their eyes and know it.
It just needs love and happiness.
And once she had her best friend back, Candace planned to give him just that.
I've been told several times that you normally don't get dogs back that have been put through what he has been put through. And I would definitely tell people to keep hope for their children and their animals, that they'll find them.
In our next story, a poot who had 2 legs amputated inspired her community, and most of all, her adoring pet parent.
She loves her walks.
Pihu the dog has come a long way, and not just in her recovery. She began her life as a street dog in India, suffering spinal damage when she was struck by a car. Pihu was rescued, but one of her hind legs had to be amputated.
Actually, like 3 fractures in her back, and As a result, she couldn't use her legs. She's a good girl.
The first surgery took place in India, but after coming to the US, she had a second leg amputated.
The decision was made to remove the second hind leg because it literally hindered what mobility she had.
Jill was inspired by Pihu's personality and her enthusiasm for walks. She also noticed that passerby, particularly children, loved her dog. So she wrote a book about it, Pihu Makes a Friend.
Children are really drawn to her, which is a wonderful thing because it teaches them, acceptance, things that are different and diversity.
Jill said she wanted that lesson to come through in the book, adding that the determined little dog on wheels has been a gift.
She's my sunshine.
Next, a veteran adjusting to civilian life got a lovable service dog to help her through rough times.
That's mama's girl. That's a mama girl.
I didn't know how to survive in the civilian world, and the difficulties that I faced, I basically ran from.
After more than 3 years serving abroad, Mac returned to the US, but she had trouble acclimating to everyday life.
The before was lonely and sometimes dark, and now there's a light.
Then she was told about Canines for Warriors, which pairs service members with service dogs, and it doesn't cost the veterans a single cent.
One of the things that they do is they go around to the kill shelters. They rescue the dog so they can rescue the veteran. So it's saving 2 lives in one. And she saved my life, and I think I've done the same for her.
Mac was introduced to Mary, whose interests include eating cheese, visiting the beach, and playing fetch. But while sporting her service vest, she means business.
When we're in the military, you always had a battle buddy. And when you got out, you didn't have no battle buddy. And she's my battle buddy now, and it's comforting to know that no matter what, she's always there, and I'm always there for her.
For Mac, having Mary by her side meant having someone to lean on. And she hoped other service members going through hard times would consider adopting their own battle buddy.
That's what I did in the military, is I helped. I got the mission done. And now to come home and say, I'm the one who needs help. But it's the first step, it's the journey, and we can make it through the journey together.
While cats are supposed to be the ones with 9 lives, this resilient pooch showed he had a few of his own.
He's absolutely a very lucky dog to be alive, considering what happened to him.
There's no denying it. Griffin is one tough dog. He survived a shooting that could have easily been fatal.
That's actually where the bullet entered. It came in through here, and then it ended up in his abdomen on this side.
Griffin was discovered wandering the streets, and the local animal shelter quickly contacted the Big Dog Ranch Rescue for help.
I don't care where they're born. I don't care where that came from. If we can help them, it's what we're here for.
Griffin was driven more than 6 hours away to have the bullet surgically removed.
It went through his chest. Fortunately, it missed his lungs, went through the diaphragm, and ended up in his intestines.
This x-ray shows how the bullet in his abdomen nearly killed him.
He's actually a pretty lucky dog, because a lot of animals would have died from a wound like that.
It also showed a smaller bullet or pellet, revealing he had been shot before. Lori at Big Dog was overjoyed to see Griffin get the help he needed.
Oh my goodness, look at him. I'm gonna sleep a whole lot better tonight because I was worried sick for the past 2 nights about him.
Griffin made it through surgery, ready to find a forever home after a few weeks of recovery.
He's a fighter. He had the will to live, and just glad he hung on long enough.
In our next story, a dog owner was shocked to be reunited with her dog 5 years after she disappeared.
I got a text that just said, "You're not going to believe this. They found her." And I said, "Found who?" So I was shocked.
This is Bay. She went missing back in 2016. After 5 years passed, her foster mother, Renee, had given up hope that she would ever return home. Then, Bay was discovered at a home in a nearby city. Deb and Danielle, volunteers from Missing Dogs of Massachusetts, set up a kennel trap to capture her. Once they had her, they used Bay's microchip to find Renee.
We weren't sure if once we trapped her that, you know, she would have a license and come back, like that she lived a few streets away and was just allowed out to roam. It wasn't until we saw her in the kennel and saw, you know, she was in rough shape, but we had no idea it was this.
But the volunteers had no idea that they were helping reunite Bay and Renee after 5 years apart.
We had no expectation of that. We were just blown away.
We hope you enjoyed these powerful stories of amazing dogs and the people who love them. Thanks for watching Stitch.